Cool. All right. Welcome everyone to Startup Shuk with me and Michael. Michael Polk is the CEO and founder of Stockpile AI.
How you doing, Mr. Dale? Michael.
I met you in the Business Today conference. Well, we met, and then for real, man, I think your session was "Don't Tell the Others" is the most fun one because you just come with an energy of casualness, authenticness, and in a room full of suits, you bring this energy that we can just be ourselves and really just share our journey, your story, and we're here to learn from each other, here to share our lessons, and your journey has been very inspiring, and I really like your story. And here is where I want to bring it to more people and share it with more people in the world. So
I
let's
appreciate
let's
that.
start a bit on your background. In Startup Shook, I talk about technology with founders, what they do, but I really like to also bring us deep down into like the story of the
Okay.
founder, where you come from, where you grew up, and what makes you you. So tell us a bit about your childhood and where you were brought up.
So I brought up in Detroit, Michigan, uh, in the 80s, 90s, well, 90s really, where it was a very different time, very crazy time. Now there was no investment. It's probably the worst, Detroit's worst part of the economic downturn. It was probably like in the probably 90s at some point. 'Cause a lot of jobs started leaving, uh, manufacturing jobs. But I was fortunate to have a mother who really like mother, grandmother, granny, family, uncles, like a community of people that were cared about education, right? And knew its importance and how education can change your life. Like the things that you know can change your life, and the tools you have access to can change your life. So my mother did things like she brought the Encyclopedia Britannica, like I mentioned to you.
Mhm.
She purchased a early computer. That was, however, I think I'm 7 years old. When it was a Christmas, my mom got us a computer. I was in first grade, and we would have like little papers we would have to write out. Everybody else writing their papers and turning it in. I typed mine up and printed it off and turned it in. So it was like my access with technology and information was I touched it very early, very soon in my life.
What was
Um,
living in Detroit like for people who are not familiar with American culture and
okay.
geography? Well, any interesting stories, growing up that shaped you?
Well, I grew up on the west side of Detroit in an area called Linwood, or DLA, Dexter Linwood area. It was a very violent time. I would hear gunshots outside of my window. I felt like I heard somebody get killed before. Like I just heard somebody screaming, top of their lungs. I was young, I was a kid, and it just stopped. So I was like, I'm assuming that person is no longer with us. Uh, so yeah, it was different. Detroit is in Michigan. Michigan is one of the most racist states in America, but Detroit is a majority black city. Like when I was growing up, I think it was like 92% black. So like everybody you see was black, from teachers, bus drivers, people that work in the stores, people that own the businesses, people in the gas stations, church, everywhere. It was like you saw black people. So I didn't really know how racist the world was, just because the environment I grew up was very insular. And the only difference was it was like people that went to church and people that didn't go to church.
Right.
And like the gang members and the non-gang members, but everybody was black. Even the police officers, the mayor was black. It was like everybody was black. So I think that protected us a lot from like that weight of racism and oppression growing up as kids, because like the adults didn't let us feel it. They dealt with it and like protected us from that. But then I left Detroit going into the fourth grade and moved to Romulus, and it was Romulus is where our airport is. It's in Michigan. It's like a 50-50 split between black and white. And that was the first time I felt like white people were being racist towards me, and they were. and it wasn't a great experience living out there. I hated every moment of it, of going to school out there. And then before high school started, my mom moved us back to the city, and that was the best thing that could ever happen. Moved down to like the east side downtown, we call it downtown neighborhood,
Mm.
and went to a school called Miller Middle School, which went up to ninth grade. Played basketball, was good. Went to high school um, at the school called Martin Luther King Junior Senior High School, named after Martin Luther King. Um, and then met a lot of friends, learned how to navigate life, relationships, friend relationships with people, how to communicate with people, how to assess a room and see who I'm attracted to energy wise. I didn't know that it was energy, but it was just like I don't want to talk to that person. Like you probably experienced. You go into some rooms
Right.
like I don't want to talk to that person, but I'll talk to that person.
Mm.
It's something about energy and people that attracts us or repels us from each other. So I think I honed that a lot in when I moved back to Detroit, and yeah, then just began my entrepreneurship journey after high school, like immediately after high school.
Gotcha. You remind me of a story my dad told about grand my great grandmother. So
Okay.
his grandmother. I'm Chinese, and we grew up in Indonesia. When they immigrated, it was still a very, very non-Chinese community. There's no Chinese people there in Indonesia, and people were very harsh to Chinese people. I wouldn't assume it is much worse than the black community and the whites, but there was
Probably
rampant
about
also
the
racisms.
same.
Yeah,
Probably similar.
my great grandmother, she was like full Chinese, don't speak any word of Indonesian, and would be harassed by kids playing around. And so my dad would always carry stones with him to like shoot them off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I think hard times create strong men, and that really shapes a lot of people's character. And my dad was an entrepreneur. This is why your story really relates to me, and I want to learn from you. And so moving on to your journey into entrepreneurship, let's discuss what happened in there. Now moving into Stockpile is is very, very different from the environment you grew up in. So obviously it's not just a direct jump into stockpile, into finance and all of that. There's a journey in there. So what was your early entrepreneurship journey? Did you sell like lemonades, or what was going on?
So early on, no, I worked jobs. So like my first job was in fourth grade. I painted the bathroom stalls at this public school that's across the street right now.
Mm.
We painted all the bathroom stall doors, me and my brother, for the upcoming school year. Then my next job, I worked at the office of the middle school in Romulus, like filing paperwork and like answering phones as a kid, like sixth grade going into seventh grade, doing that. Then that following summer, I worked as like for this janitorial services company where we went into the public schools in Detroit and stripped all the old wax off the floors and
Mm.
then re-waxed them. I ended up getting chemical burns on my toes because of it, because I didn't have the proper footwear, and I was like, I wasn't supposed to be doing the job that I was doing,
Right.
but I was working so hard that they ended up like paying me what the adults were paying. Like some adults were mad that I ended up making more money than them because like he's just a
Mm.
kid. They were like, man, he did the job of three of y'all. So I never shunned away from hard work. I knew that I would get paid for it, so I knew what I wanted to do things with the money afterwards, right? So I didn't mind giving all my effort. Then I had a job cleaning up public park in high school, and then I worked at a clothing. My uncle had a clothing store called Hall of Fame Clothing, where he had Negro League baseball jerseys and shirts. Like before, like it just had another resurgence where it got popular again. But he was like one of the first people selling this stuff, merchandise, and so he had a store called Hall of Fame Clothing, and we sold that. Me and my friend Melissa Butler, we were in there working in high school throughout our entire senior year. I think she started there before me, And then I started like right after Thanksgiving, and then worked there through the entire senior year of my school. Working at the mall, getting experience, interacting with people because that wasn't really like my thing. Um, Talking to people and customer service and all these things, but I saw the difference that it made, right? When you interact with people, how you make them feel good before they spend some money with you.
Yeah.
Chances are they'll spend more money with you, or they'll be a repeat customer if you make that experience for them good versus then just give me your money and here's this thing, bye, see it. Um, so that I started understanding that. And then after I graduated high school, a week later, my uncle who owned Hall of Fame and another guy who was like my uncle now, him and his partner wanted to open up a regular clothing store where they carried like regular brands. And they asked me to basically run it for them. Like, so be a co-founder, basically. What it
Right.
was, what it is now, what we call it now, but back then it was just run the store. Um, so I did that. They dropped me into the store in Detroit, in what would be called like the hood. Uh, and it wasn't my hood; it was some other people's hood, and left me in there for like they didn't come in that store. Probably like once a week they would come in the store, and I would like open it. They would come to open it, come to close it, and that was it. Other than that, I was in the store by myself selling these clothes, and through that, I just had to figure out like, okay, what do these people want? Again, using my skills that I just learned at my previous job. What do these people want? What's the merchandise going to be? I was doing everything. Um, and I got a lot of on the job training on how to run a business, how to get a budget, how to make sure your orders are paid for, inventory, security, because again, we're in a neighborhood where people will come in and try to steal your stuff.
Yeah.
And we could early on, you can't afford to lose anything. Um, so that was like a super crash course in navigating various egos and personalities at a super young age.
So you've learned a lot of technical hard skills in running a business when you went through that experience. A lot of people in the entrepreneurship world don't realize that a lot of founders actually come from money, and they put such people in a pedestal. And when we listen to their advice, we don't realize that those advice didn't really come from anywhere.
Right.
And I respect you so much because you came from a harder background and you actually went through the shit. What sort of values did you learn growing up, scraping wax off the floor, that we can share with other founders who are also coming from such a background?
Um, to do If you're gonna do a job, do it to the best of your ability. Like give it your effort. Like I was literally leaving that job. I was working 9-hour days as a kid in the
Mm.
summer.
Yeah.
In this hot building, there's no air conditioning and these fumes. And I just saw like if you're gonna trust me to give me this opportunity, I'm gonna take it, and I'm not gonna fail. I'm not gonna say, oh, that was too much responsibility. Like to me, it was no such thing as too much responsibility. Like whatever you ask me to do, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna do it well. I'm gonna do it better than anybody else is doing. Like I'm working like this. This is called a spinner. It's like this huge machine, and the bottom part weighs like 150 pounds. Mind you, I'm in the 7th grade. I'm probably like 90 pounds. Um, so it's like the machine is heavier than me. Like when it first cut on, when I first got it, it was just going everywhere. And the older guys were like, "Oh, I see you don't know." But by day 2, I'm using the machine. I'm learning how to swap the pads out. I'm like to the point where they gave me a whole hallway and nobody ever checked on me until it was done. And then when it was done, they were like, "Oh," they gave me the main hallway actually. And when that was done, everybody was like, "Oh, this is the best hallway in the building." Because it was just that done. Like even when you lay the wax, you have to like do a certain kind of stroke, and you can't just do it however you want to do it and expect it's going to come out well. You have to like do it a certain way and take your time and pay attention to the detail and let it dry and be patient, and then go back over with the buffer slowly and pay attention to those details and be patient. It's like it was a thing that you cannot rush. So I think that's probably the number one thing it taught me, is that patience while you're doing a job, doing something and taking your time. It removes that time, because some people's floors we had to unstrip. We had, once they waxed and everything, it was done bad. It was pennies on the floor. It was like stuff on the floor, dirt that was not waxed over. So now you have to go through and unstrip then that part of the floor and then redo the whole entire process again. I saw them do that one time and I was like, nobody's going to have to do that for me, because I saw how mad it made everybody. So I'm like,
Right.
you're not going to feel like that because of something I did. So
Yeah.
I just made sure I just paid attention, took my time, and yeah, and like you said, yeah, a lot of founders like come from money, and
You do.
and then they get praised like they're like these geniuses, or they're so smart and they came with this great idea, but it's like that's literally not what happened. They're not geniuses. They're not actually good at this thing that they're claiming that they're good at. They just came from money, and their parents know somebody with money. Do this for my kid. We'll make some money together type situations. And you see what happens every time. The Forbes 30 under 30, the prison pipeline is full of those stories.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think a huge part of that is patience, which is your point. And I think it's a very, very strong point in today's age, where everyone wants to be rich very quickly. I can say very from my own experience in Asia, people want to be successful very quickly. When I was 19, people would graduate high school and they would get positions in investment banking at 20, and then they would uh, or actually they would go to university first and graduate at 20, 22, 23, and then go to investment banking, get a wife, play golf, take pictures of their new car, and just pretend like they're living the life. But deep inside, they don't have a good fit with their career. They jumped into early. They didn't realize what they want to do in life is just build something that has actual impact for the community. They just jumped in too fast. And also in Silicon Valley, too many people want to be rich too quickly. They wear there's this woman, Elizabeth Holmes. She would wear turtlenecks just to be on like Steve Jobs. That's not it. That's not it. The point is to create value and not to play a character. And I think your point is very, very important. And you learned that firsthand, scraping stuff off the floor. Um, Going forward from there, how did you end up in finance and producing something for the finance space, building a product in there? And I can imagine it's very different. So what was the step?
So yeah, so okay, so after like 2 years of being at the store, hired a couple employees. Things are like basically on autopilot now. It's just make sure the clothes are stocked, make sure it's open, make sure we close, make sure the money is deposited type situation. Very good client list at that point, and then new people continually find out about us every day. So my grandmother really wanted me to go to college, and I didn't want to go to college. I knew it was zero benefit from me just by how I spent high school. Like to me, high school was no benefit for me for real. I got some friends out of it. That's it. But information, didn't really learn much.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I finally decided, okay, I'm going to go to college. But I'm going to college. I'm going to study what I want to study. So I chose to study international business, oddly enough. Because I was like, okay, if I'm going to do business, I want to do business all around the world. So let me get an international business degree so I know a little something how the world does business. And did that. I'm going to meet my advisor, first time as a freshman, going to meet my advisor. That's going to be my advisor for the school year. And I sit in his office and he's like, just wait a minute. And then he's looking at this screen, his computer screen. And I'm just sitting there quiet. And he's just sitting there quiet. Like 5 minutes go by. And then I finally say, what's that? So then he tells me like, oh, I'm watching a stock. I'm waiting on this stock to drop. I bought this stock when it was something, sold it, bought it again when it went up to this number, when it dropped down to this number from what I sold it at, bought it again, went up, sold it. And then now it's dropping from 75, it's dropping down. And I want to get it like around $65, $63. So then he like, come look. So I go look and I see the screen and I'm like, I just see numbers and I just see the price and I see the price dropping. And I'm seeing how the price is dropping like consistently every single like second. Every update is dropping. So he's like, what do you think it's going to get to? And I'm like, I don't know. It was like maybe like 55, 50. I'm just, I don't know what I'm looking at. I know what stock is. I just never seen this screen before.
Mm.
So he's like, no, it probably won't go below 60. I was like, I don't know, just wait and see, maybe. I was like, you never know. He was like, but that's a lot of money if it doesn't go, if I don't buy it, if it hits 60 and I don't buy it and it goes back up to 61, 62, it's a lot of money. In my head, I'm like, that's just $1 or $2. Like, that's not that much money, right? That's what I'm thinking. So then I don't say that, but that's what I'm thinking. So then it drops down to like 57 something. And then he's like, oh, is it gonna go lower? Is it gonna go? I'm like, I probably won't go past 55. So then it hits 56, he buys it. He drops down to 55, like a couple of seconds. Then it goes back up, and it starts going back up to like 58 now. So he's already in the green from when he bought it at 56. So when he bought it, I saw he typed in $3 million, and I was like, oh, that's why that was a lot of money. You just spent $3 million in my face. That is insane. So then now I'm looking at this person like, you're the richest person I've ever met, because who has $3 million to just spend like that in a kid's face? So then I never bring it up to him again. Like a couple weeks later, he ends up leaving the school. He's like no longer my advisor because I think he got an offer somewhere else. But he was just doing it just because he didn't need the money. He just going somewhere else. So like that was burned, seared in my brain. The only time I ever met this guy, he spent $3 million. So then fast forward to my senior year, I have a professor named Dr. Caslin. He was like business law and something else, business law and some other business teacher. I think I ended up having like 3 classes from him. A super cool guy, talk to you about whatever, smart, and he dressed like he was in the poorhouse. Like wore the same shirt, same pants, same shoes, drove a beat up 88 Camry every single day. I'll go to his office one time and I see all these computer screens all around. Every single space in the wall has a computer screen. So I asked him, like, what are all these screens for? And I see the lines going through them. He was like, oh, this is tracking stocks, their projections, what it's doing, whatever. So I'm like, oh, okay. He was like, yeah, I built that software. I was like, oh, you built this? He was like, yeah, but I don't use it. I just sold it to some finance guys up in New York. Sold it to them for like $20 million. Just said it super casually like that. And I was like, wait, what? He's like, yeah. I was like, wait, so you don't have to trade stock in order to like make money from the stock market? You're like, no. You can just build stuff. If they find it interesting or if they feel like they can use it or get an edge, they'll buy it from you for a lot of money and then just go about your day, go about your life. I was like, okay, interesting. And then he was really trying to get me to be in finance. Like he was trying to get me to be a stockbroker. He was trying to get me to be a wealth manager. Because he was like, you're smart. You know how to talk to people. People like talking to you. He's like, it's a great field for you to go into. All you have to do is get licensed for it. And I was like, okay. But I knew I had a clothing store to go home to. I knew I had a business to go home to. And it was like, I don't really want to work for other people. So when I graduated, the school, my brother graduated college the same time as me. My granny was super happy. And the day after I graduated, the store got robbed and I got shot in the process. So now I can't work at the store anymore. Like it's like a forced exit, but it was like a good exit because the store is still open today. It's not like it didn't depend on me anymore because of the systems and everything we put into place. And the love we got from the community because it was a community clothing store. Like we didn't like price gouge people. We gave people deals. We weren't looking to become rich off of anybody in the neighborhood because it's a low income neighborhood. So I got shot and laying in the hospital. Like, what do I do now? Like, what's next? Recovery took like 4 months. I go to apply for jobs. I can't get a job. Everybody's wondering like what happened in this 4 month period. Like, what's going on? I'm not telling anybody that I got shot, but they're like, well, we don't know, it was this 4-month period, so it seemed sketchy to them or whatever. So I never got a job. So now I just remember like what Dr. Caslin said about trading stock and what my advisor did, trading stock. So I was interested in trading stock. So I started to try to get into the stock market. And then it was super hard to do. And then that's when I came up with the idea for Stockpile.
Amazing. And working on Stockpile, I remember you telling me that you're not a technical founder. You don't code, but you build this anyway. So
Yeah.
how'd you build it? And coming from a technical founder, if I want to build something, I would just open my coding editor, start typing away. But I would like to hear the story of a non-technical founder. How would you build a team? I would argue it's much more challenging because you have to form a team. You have to build trust with people that want to really work and have the same vision. And what if they steal the idea? What if they don't build it to the best of their abilities? What if there's a problem and you can't just fix it? And there's so many questions in my mind. I would like to know how does it work?
Um, it's trust, but it's also like a level of confidence you have to have, right? So it's like, granted, I could tell somebody my idea about Stockpile, tell everybody about it, right? Somebody else can go and build it, but it's the things outside of the idea of Stockpile that come with me, right? The trust I have in the community, the personality I have, the connections I have, the people I have that can help me scale it, the continuous ideas that I have of just, okay, if you just steal this part of Stockpile, you don't know about the next part or the next part or the next part or the next part or the next, or you know what I'm saying? It's all these things. So like, yeah, you might get a company to work for 5 years, but then what about year 6, year 7? What are you going to do? So it's like, I don't think you ever tell anybody all your ideas. Like, I don't care who they are. Just because it's not that they'll steal it. It's just, I don't, if you're an idea person, you create and you think, and that's how you work. It's like you're always going to have ideas. You're always going to be iterating. You're always going to have another thing to create and do. I think that's why a lot of companies, like major companies now, get so stagnant. Like why my iPhone still has been looking the same for the past, since Steve Jobs died.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's a reason that's a thing, because they don't have anybody creatively there to think like he did, or
Mhm.
to think so outside of the box that you change how we interact with these devices, our phones, completely. I don't know if Tim Cook is that person creative wise, but Tim Cook is great at running a business, running Apple. That's what he's excellent at. He's very good at that, putting out products and getting it to retail stores and expanding retail. Great at that. But so you have to like trust and trust people. You'll know, like you'll know who you can share more with and who you can share a little bit with. It's like just believe in that gut feeling and that innate natural sense you have as a human being to say, I can't tell this person everything, or I can give this person a little more information than I can give this person. Um, and finding that team, it took trial and error. Honestly, I mean, it's like you're dealing with people at the end of the day. So with any person, it's trial and error. Is I'm going to believe in you. I'm going to give you the utmost trust to say that you can do what you're going to do.
Mhm.
And you start to exhibit that you can't do what you're going to do, I'm going to ask you about it. How you respond and how you act about that will let me know how I should act next, follow accordingly. So that's what happened with the first developer. It just that my belief that he could do what he said he could do just diminished gradually over time, and that's what caused me to reach out to look for somebody else to build it. And then I ended up finding Imad, and he was perfect for the job. And a great friend now. I'm trying to get him to come to Thanksgiving dinner here. Well, I'm gonna see about it. My mom loves him like he's like a little brother to me now, like legit a little brother to me now. So
Mm.
all his success, I'm happy for it. My success, he's happy for it, and we know we're going to be successful together. That's what you want to find if you become an entrepreneur. You want to find other people that are entrepreneurs. They don't necessarily have to be. They can be building similar to you. They can be building completely different than you. But like befriend them, because you can help them, they can help you. And the more people you help, the more help you'll get in return.
You have two very, very good points about idea and trust. Going to the second one first, my dad has this quote: business is not about money, it's about relationships. Really, that's just it. You're working to bring value by connecting people A to person B, giving value this, bringing value there, and then they give you value in return. It's just delivering value around, moving value. Like money, money
Yeah.
can't just stay in one place. You can't just keep it all to yourself. You got to move it around, and then like if shit is piled up, it stinks. If shit is distributed, it's gonna grow.
Yeah.
Um,
Trust
and
me, first currency.
it's currency. It's
Yeah,
currency.
it was the first one.
Yeah. And the first idea about idea is very important because I think in today's age, well, I guess also in the past, but a lot of people these days are very, very secretive about their idea. They just don't want to tell to people. And I think part of it is ego. They think they have this $1 billion idea when they don't even know if their friend beside them likes it or not. And they all just keep it to themselves. And YC uh, have this policy where idea is nothing, execution is everything. Your idea can just be a shower thought, but it's untested. Nobody knows if the world really needs that. But execution is everything. And part of the appreciation that you can put into execution is experience, like you had. You worked hard when you were younger. All of that built the grit and hard work inside of you. It's instilled that you got to work hard. You can't just have an idea and expect you to become Mark Zuckerberg the next day. You got to actually still put into work, and no, it's not going to come fast.
At
So
all.
those are very, very two strong points.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, it's nothing. Anything that comes fast, you don't want it, for real, because it's like, what is the foundation? Like, what was it built upon? Is that going to last? Uh, that's why typically you see people who win like smaller lotteries, like $1 million lottery, $500,000 lottery. 2 years they're broke because they got the money too fast. They didn't have a plan for the success. Only plan they had was to spend money. So yeah, you want to. It feels. I want to say it feels better because I ain't gonna lie. Somebody can give me $1 billion today, and I'll be just as happy as if I got $1 billion in 10 years.
Mm.
But it's like when you the like you say, the lessons you learn, the things that help you become who you are, it comes with all that patience and trying hard, trying to do hard things and realizing how easy a hard thing is.
What values led you and have been a guiding North Star in your life? Beliefs that you collected along the way in your life, in your journey. And also, I remember one thing you said in the conference a couple of days ago, of the caution that you need to have, in listening to advice from other people. So if you don't listen to advice, and obviously you need to build the lessons yourself, some of it, what lessons and values do you keep to yourself, and that has been your guiding star?
My one guiding star is there's always a better way. So anything, like I feel like there's a better way to do everything. And even if like we're at the best way to do something, that's only the best way for now with the information that we have. Uh, so like flying on an airplane is the best way to get around the world right now, but that's only because that's the level of our information. Until we figure out, until somebody can create something that say, oh no, we've been flying entirely wrong this entire time. This can be much faster, way more efficient. We can get more people. We could bring the price of flying an airplane, anybody, to $5. Then it's like, okay, well then, yeah, we were doing everything wrong back then, but now we're having a better way now going forward. So just always not being happy with the current situation. And I'm not saying like you shouldn't find happiness in your present situation, but it's just like, I'm happy where I am. I'm grateful for where I am, but can something be better? What can I do to make things better? Not just for myself, but for everybody. When you look at that, when you look at how to make everybody happy, that's when your like good ideas come from. Your big ideas. That's, to me, that's an investable company because Right now, everybody asks you like things like target audience. What's your target audience? My target audience is the earth. That's literally, but I can't say that to people because then they're like, "Oh, how do you advertise to the earth?" But it literally, like, that's my audience, the earth, the entire earth. I want to make everybody on Earth's life better.
Yeah.
How can I do that? In what ways can I do that? How can I benefit everybody to the maximum and not just myself and my family? So there's always a better way is my value, is my North Star. Another value I have is um, I don't take anything personal but disrespect. So if like I feel like you're actively trying to disrespect me, then I take that personal. I'll trip off of that. I'll disrespect you back or however way I see fit or possible to disrespect you. Just because I feel like disrespect is like a personal, direct attack on a person. But if
Mm.
like somebody's angry and yelling, I don't take that personal. If somebody like you could have had a bad day, you come in and have an attitude with me, or you do something that I feel like might be a slight to me, I don't take it personal. I don't absorb that or take it personally, just because I know most people have a lot of things going on and a lot of emotions, a lot of feelings, a lot of information that not everybody is able to process at the same speed as me. Or they might not have the same they might not know themselves as well as I know myself, so things might affect them differently. Uh, so I give people as much grace as I'll ever want in my lifetime. Like if I had the worst day possible, how much grace would I want if I came into a situation and I might have reacted in that moment like I didn't want to react because of 1,000 things that happened to me right before I got to your doorstep. Um, so I try to give people as much grace as possible, but yeah, just I don't let people disrespect me. Not even a little bit, not even like micro disrespect, just because it's a super slippery slope when it comes to disrespect. And then my I wouldn't say my last one. My other one is you have to believe in something, right? You can't believe that you everything comes from you. Everything is about you. You got to believe in like there's something outside of all of us that connects all of us, and we're all connected. We might look different, but we're all on the same tree, just different branches and leaves facing different directions. That's all. Like you might see one side of the valley, I see the other side of the valley, but we're still in a part of a tree. Um, so moving like I know that we're all connected, moving with respect and moving with the understanding that there's a better way to do everything we do as humans is what I base my life off of.
Gotcha. They're brilliant. And I'd like to add one observation, which I think is a value that is very, very um, can be seen from you, from the conference, from the way you speak. I think it's humility. You have a very, very grounded character, and you started from the bottom. Now you're there, and you kept grounded. And just being in the conference, in the seminar, when you speak, your family was there with you. I don't see that often, because there's a lot of people who rise, to success, and they kind of live behind and get distant with the people who brought them there. And
Right.
being able to see your family supporting you, even coming to New York here, that says a lot. And also speaking about like what value do you want to bring through your company, and you said just to make the world a better place. A lot of people don't think that way because all they want is to make money, and that definitely does not come from humility. And being a successful founder includes producing value that the world actually needs, and that comes from the desire to serve people. And a lot of founders don't come from there, and that's why they fail. So how do you keep grounded, starting from the bottom? How do you root yourself to earth while reaching for the stars? Because a lot of people just lose their step, and they fall away.
Um, I I I don't think that I'm special, right? I don't think there's nothing special about me to make me believe I'm better than a human being next to me, right? There's like nothing. There's so many founders and people, like successful people, like you said, their metric is money because um that's the only thing that they can point to that separates themselves from the next person next to them. I have more of this thing than you that we said is the margin for success, is the margin for wealth, which is money to
Mhm.
them. That's not my margin. My margin for wealth isn't money. I was telling my mom the other day that I'm the richest man on earth just because my margin for wealth isn't money. My margin for wealth is how many people are happy around me. How many people's lives am I impacting positively? How many people are doing things that they might not have done if I wasn't around? Um, what how many people put smiles on their families' faces when they see them? Like, you know what I'm saying? These are the things that are valuable to me. These are the things that make how many people are happy to see you coming down the street. Like, not like, oh man, this guy. Like, but he might have all the money in the world, but if nobody's happy to see you, then like what was the point? That's not wealth to me. So yeah, knowing that there are 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 kids just like me from what somebody could perceive as worse circumstances than I grew up in, who can do the same thing that I did, and have the same group, have the same core friends around them that they could believe in. It's nothing special. It's just I don't think I'm special. I don't think I'm better than anybody. I don't think I'm smarter than anybody. I don't think I'm none of these things, none of these metrics that we can't quantify. Like unless we're playing like a sport, then I can say, oh, I'm better than you at basketball if I scored more points than you today. Um, but that's even subjective. So yeah, just I don't have the ability to have arrogance about anything. Just because I know how small and how insignificant anything I do on earth will be in the grand scheme of the life of earth. No matter what I do on earth, unless I do something crazy like um I don't like no, even then it doesn't matter because when the sun explodes and humanity is over with, nobody remembers it. Like, you know what I'm saying? So nothing you do will be remembered eventually. Like literally nothing. So once things get destroyed, it's over with. So just moving with that lets me know, like, hey, I'm just here to do as much as I can for the people that are here to experience it. Anything after that is just, it's up in the air.
Man, your time frame is a gajillion years away.
Yeah. I don't, yeah, because that's how you have to think, right? Because
Yeah,
people get so concerned and caught up with I want to be immortalized. Let me sell the most records or let me make the most money. That's how people will remember me by, because they'll write me in history books. He was worth $1 trillion at one point. But it's like, what happens when they start writing the history books?
yeah.
What happens when nobody is around to read the history books? Like,
Mhm.
these are the things you have to think about. So yeah,
Gotcha.
it just gives you perspective as a human how unimportant anything that you think you're doing or is happening to you really is, and just lets me go with the flow of life and happy. Like you hit me up yesterday and asked me. You told me on Sunday you probably didn't think we were going to be talking on Tuesday. Uh,
Yeah.
because you know what I'm saying. It's the opportunity. I don't know what's going to happen, so I
Mhm.
would rather do this with you because I said I was going to do it and make time for you versus pretending like I'm so busy and I have this schedule full of things. That's why I became a CEO, so I can control my time, uh, versus having other people control it for me.
And I appreciate that. I'm sure all my listeners are also very appreciative of your time. 10 years. Let's see. We're talking about time frame. What do you see Stockpile in 10 years? What's the vision?
10 years, Stockpile will be. It won't just be a fintech company. You'll see like multiple companies spin up. So one of our main goals is we want to. Do you know Bluetooth? Everybody knows Bluetooth, but did you know Bluetooth is a company? It's not just a feature.
I didn't know that.
Yes. So Bluetooth is a company called Bluetooth, and everything that has Bluetooth in it, they pay Bluetooth to say that it has Bluetooth in it.
No
And
way.
so it's licensed out to every single anybody that uses it, and they get paid royalties for it. Same with windshield wipers. There's somebody that gets paid each time a car puts a windshield wiper on, because they came up with that design and invented it.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I want to create a small. I don't want to. I'm going to create a small language model that I can license out to other people and eventually grow it and scale it itself to where it will be synonymous with artificial intelligence. Like, yes, this is powered by whatever I decide calling it, and it will be people will know it, connect to it. It will be like your a real friend, assistant that understands you, like almost like. Did you play Halo?
No,
No. Okay. I'm trying to think of something more recent that you might know.
like Jarvis and Tony Stark.
Like Jarvis. Everybody have. Imagine if you had your own personal Jarvis. Everybody had their own Jarvis type situation where you don't need it 24/7, but with the things you need it for, it can help you with 100%.
Man, I can't wait.
Yeah, yeah, and it understands you. It knows you. It helps you out. Helps you remember things that you need help remembering. Like, so just replace your calendar and notifications and all those things just with a Jarvis assistant. I think that's in 10 years, we should probably have that. Um, and I'm not a predatory person, so I'm not just going to be taking everybody's information and data and just using it for whatever reason that these people use your data for. It's like if it doesn't serve you a purpose, if it doesn't benefit you as a person, then you're not going to interact with it.
Gotcha. Michael, it's been a master class, but give me one more um, lesson and advice for actually our listeners who are entrepreneurs who are building something on the side. They're students, they're also busy doing other things, and they're confused with life, where life's going to go. One advice to leave them with.
Um, the best advice I can give any young person starting anything is the same advice I gave all my friends in music. And it works because they all listen to me and it worked. You cannot when you want something and you really want something and you believe that's what you're supposed to do, whether it's like um music, anything. Like, I don't want to just say, like, if you're a singer and you obviously can't sing, that you can become well, I guess you can if you use auto tune, but like things like that, right? That require a talent.
Mm-hmm.
If you obviously don't have the talent, like you're going to be a basketball player. If you don't have the talent to play basketball, it does not apply to you. But this is like applies to your natural talents, your natural interests, your natural curiosities, the things that you want to build yourself. You have to live it, like give it all your time. You cannot. I told all my rapper friends and producer friends, you cannot work a job and be a rapper. The reason why I know that is because the rappers that I knew that were successful, they did not work jobs. They were in the studio working on their craft over and over and over, because that's how you get good at something. Like literally taking your time, giving it your attention, and figuring out how to do that thing better and better and better and better every single time. Whatever your better is. Don't listen to anybody else's better. What is your better? And just get better at that. And then that's how you do anything. If it's a business, you have to give it your time. You have to give it your attention. You have to like really care about it. Like it's an extension of you, because that's what it is at the beginning.
Yeah.
And it's literally an extension of you. It's your baby, and you're the only person that can tell people about it. And you know what this baby was going to grow into. So, if you're in school for something that you feel like doesn't serve that business in the long run or who you want to be in 20 years, stop, change courses. It's not the end of the world. Trust me, it's not. Or if you have a business that's kind of doing well and you want to scale that business, stop doing whatever you're doing on the side. It's not that business. Even if you have to reduce your lifestyle, do it and focus on the business because that is going to help scale the business. And and I don't give advice that I don't like, I haven't done, I don't have experience doing, or I'm not doing myself. Um, so with Stockpile, I was living downtown Detroit by myself, just going through the motions, like you said, of like living a life that like I didn't want to really live. Like you said, some people, your friends, people that you know, do living a life I didn't really want to live because it wasn't the life that I was headed towards, that I knew where my life would be.
Mhm.
So I just backed out completely. I did a hard stop, got up, moved out of my apartment, moved in with my mom, my sister, and my niece, my family, and removed all my bills, and was able to focus full time on Stockpile. And the attention from before, where Stockpile was before I did that, and where Stockpile is today, two different companies. I would for sure would not have be right here talking to you if I was still living on my own, using using some of my money to live a lifestyle and using the other money to do whatever I could with Stockpile. I 100% would not be here today. So yeah, don't be afraid, because if you have to struggle for 4 years, 5 years to live the rest of your life how you want to, it's worth it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, Michael, man. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Such an inspiring story, and I'm so happy. I went up to you and asked you for this podcast because I know you have this story. I know you have this value that everyone is really looking for. And man, it's been a masterclass. I thank you very much for your time.
Man, thank you, Dale, and I appreciate you for asking me. And then anytime, like, listen, I mean it. If you need something from me, you know me now. You have my contact information. I have yours. Reach out. You can ask me a question about anything, and I got you. I promise.
You're the best, man. Thank you very much.
Yep. Thank you.